any service station, radio service station, you tune the dial to a certain frequency and you will hear the broadcast so well. We are also to tune into God. And if we want to hear directions from God, we must tune into Radio GOD. I remember very well a big lesson in attunement that I learned when I was with my little Roy Davis in Lakeland, Georgia. Once he traveled to Japan to Dr. Masaharu Taniguchi's Seichundoye movement. And, during those days, I was fond of, because he was there, whatever thing will come into my mind, I'll go and ask him. And now, like sitting back and looking, I felt that I really disturbed him a lot. And I had this question which was gnawing in my mind, and I rushed down from my house, the house I was living in, and you had to go through some woods to the fish pond at CSA. In the middle of the woods, the answer just popped up in my mind. But it not only popped up in my mind, there was a divine voice, a voice I heard inside me. He said, Samuel, you don't need the body of Roy to know anything. Roy is not the body. Whatever there is to know. And from that day, I ceased going to ask him unnecessary questions. But this thing continued, this awareness of being in tune with him continued. Once his wife said, "Oh, Roy is the watermelon boy." And I asked her, "Why is that so?" He said, "Oh, every morning during the season when we had watermelons in the area, he wakes up and goes to the field to cut some watermelon to eat." And I found out that it was the same time that I also was waking up to eat watermelon. And I was in the book room where we stock two journals. The two journals that we received, this is a two journal. The two journals that we received are stocked in the mail room. And when you go, there will be the two journal, and maybe there will be some pamphlets, and then we stick the pamphlets inside, put them in the envelope, and I used to make the starch on the envelope and seal it. I was there, and I will be doing that, and to cut the edges of my mouth, but I did it with love. And I was there stuffing two journals when suddenly Roy walked in. I said, "Samuel, a few weeks from now, we'll be going to Atlanta for my first seminar of the year. And I would like you to watch me when we get there for your training as a minister will be doing there." So he said, "Watch me." So when we got there, I reserved the seat up front. And I was there when David Sunday, who was then the Associate Minister of CSA, Lakeland, came to tell me that we had to go escort Roy into the lecture hall. So we went and Roy was between us, and we walked up front, and he sat down, he scanned the entire audience, and then steadied himself into a meditation posture, and he said, let's meditate. And we all went into meditation. But when we opened our eyes after meditation and we started giving the lecture, I kept watching him. At a point in time, before he would speak, the next word that he will say, or the next word that he will say, will ring in my head. I said, whoa, this is something else. And I sat with a little smile on my face. I said, oh, man, this is wonderful. And then I found that he would, there will be things that he will not ask me to do. But when I do those things, he will know that I have done them. And he will give me a little nod whenever we come into the meditation, or he will give me a little nod, like, I see what you've done. And it went on for a while. When I returned to Accra, I'll be there, and then the thought will come into my mind, oh, there is a mail from Roy at the post office. I will go and there will be a letter from him, or there will be 2 journals, or some correspondence from CSA Lakeland. And so the young men who were by me during those times, whenever I told them I have a letter from Roy, they knew we will go and pick a letter from that. Well, now that it's no longer in the flesh, I can tell you that I received messages from the other world from them. No. But I have kept with that achievement. You see, it is not a mysterious thing. When you tune in to your own spiritual nature and you rest the silence understands all language and it can speak all languages. And so you turn within, and if you can hear the inner sound or you can see the inner light, just let your attention merge in it. It is a lesser samadhi, it's not samadhi with support. But when you can transcend the sound and the light and rest in absolute silence, then you are resting in the supreme consciousness. And I found out that when I was able to do that, I was able to do things that he would normally would have told me, Sam, do this or do that. And that is how I have lived my life. Sometimes I will take a decision and everyone will say no. But eventually, the decision that I took after that deep meditation will override everyone, and all of us will come to know that that is the right course. You see, to tune into God, you must first be in tune with yourself, because God, Guru, and the self are one. If you can tune in yourself, you can tune into the Guru and God. You just can't say that, oh, I'm waiting for the Guru to tell me everything. See, the truth resides in all of us. All of us have access to the truth. But our access to truth, our realization of the truth, will depend on how well we are in tune with ourselves. And meditation is the best key to tune into yourself, your true self, and to awaken in God. The Guru just points the way, shows you that this is how to tune into yourself. He won't do it for you. He will aid you. He will give you all the necessary aid for you to be able to attune into yourself. And then after you have been able to do that, you will find out that you are in tune with God. Brahman Suganandaji once, I think it's in the autobiography of a yogi, he sat and said, today, in God. And that day, he heard the, the eternal sound within. And when he asked God any question, the sound will rumble and it will give him the answer. See, it made me to write a chant. The voice of God because us back to his own. The voice of God because us back to his own. The voice of God because us back to his own. His own, his own, his own. His own, his own, his own. His own, his own. In the book of Revelations, it is written that this thing said the true and faithful witness, the beginning of the creation of God. That is the radio station you must tune into if you want to hear the broadcast of God. When I meditate and I tune into the divine sound within and rest in it, when my attention is coming out, I let it feel both the midst of the brain, feel the spine and feel the entire body, and anchor it in the heart and in the heart. And say, speak, Lord. And I maintain an attitude of listening. And after some time, the inspiration will come. For a long time now, that is why I do not, during the week, say, this Sunday, this is what I will talk about. Because sometimes, by the time I sit even on this chair, I do not know what I'm going to talk about. And then the idea will flow in. But you know something? Every time that we finish Sunday service, one of the first things that I do when I'm going home, I turn my phone on and I turn to the lesson sermon. And whoever gives the lesson sermon, I know when I'm hearing truth from the source. Sometimes some of our ministers speak from the source, sometimes from their own memory. And when I listen to what I said, sometimes I ask myself, did I say this? Where did this come from? And so it gives me an idea whether I was in tune with God or I was just remembering my subconscious in presence. We must be in tune or attuned with God. See, when you hear the word attune, 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 that is the spelling, attune. You must but energy has several frequencies. We have radio waves all around. And to be able to tune into the frequency that we call divine or divinity, the highest frequency, we must be able to hear the inner voice, inner sound. Because in the Yoga Sutras of Daniel, it says that the inner sound is the representative of God, represents God. And Brahmananda also said that when you tune into the inner sound and the light, you then know that you are in tune with supernal worlds. And that is what came before the disciples of Jesus started speaking in tongues. Not what most charismatics do. That personally, no one can convince me with. Because I have not heard any Pentecostal tell me that they heard an inner sound and then speaking in tongues. And the tongues that they speak, it's not any language that you can decipher. But the tongues that the disciples of Jesus spoke were actual languages. Because they said everyone heard their language being said. And people could testify, people could interpret what they are saying. I watched a video a few weeks ago, and the pastor asked his people who can, speak in tongues, and people came in. One lady was saying, and the man told her, stop. And she stopped. And he told them that what you are saying, it's not the real tongue. It is St. Anthony of Padua. One of the things which earned him the sainthood was that when he traveled to places where they did not speak Italian, they would speak Italian and they would hear it in their language. And that kind of thing is also called a miracle. Because if I can speak English, I remember when we first started and we were at YWCA, that thing happened. I was very close to my mom, my earthly mother. And our house where she lived with my dad was not far from YWCA. And so on Thursday evenings, I would see her seated at the back. And I knew she has not been to school before. So I knew there was no way she could understand the English with consciousness and things. And so, I was bothered. And one day, I told her, I said, Ma, don't come to the classes. You are coming to waste your time. I said, I'm coming to waste what time? I'm not coming to waste my time. I come to listen to what you are saying. I said, what do I say? He said, you think I don't understand what you are saying? When you speak in English, I can understand it in T. And I said, so what did I say? And I never stopped. I never tried to stop her anymore. And one day, she said to me, why don't you go to circle and make a day? You need the feeling that I'm doing. It's not the show one, but I'm healing minds and souls. And he said, how? I said, I turn people's minds to God, and so people's minds are turned Godward. I stabilize them in God. That is the healing that can take place. When that healing takes place, the body can also be by itself. I said, I know why you are saying to, because when I talk to you, you get healed. And that is why you are saying I should go to circle and do that. But I don't do it consciously. I remember Dr. Barbara King, who has made a transition. The first time I went to, the second time, the first time was with Reverend Sean. The second time I went to visit with her, he said, Samuel, I have some pain in my waist, put your hand there. Because since you are a great healer. And I said, I don't know. I put my hand there. He said, yeah, I can feel the listening. And after service, he told me, thank you. I said, oh. He said, you healed my back. I said, okay. And so something that I do not have personal control over, how can I say to people, come to Blaster School and go to heal you? Now that they will beat me into the sea, they will chase me into the sea. Because, it is like sometimes I go to places after I've done the presentation, I get back to where I came from. I will call them to let them know I've reached my destination. And they say, oh, after you left, people came to say that they were healed. I said, I don't know. And the next time I will go there, there will be more people. Because those who got some benefit go to tell others that Abana again. The man has come again. So let's go and get it. Our attunement with God will be the beginning of my oracle, your miracle. My miracle is my oracle. People come to Jesus and they ask me, Master, heal us. And according to your faith, they done you. Huh? According to whose faith? Huh? Yes. You see, formerly people will go to places to see people like how we have fetish priests and priestesses. People will go and they will tell them, they will throw the cowries on the floor, and then they will tell them this is going to happen, that is going to happen. And that was an oracle. But what you say? From your heart comes the issues of life. So what you say from your heart can be your miracle. The co-founder of Unity Church, Matthew Fillmore, had a miracle by saying that as a child of God, she does not inherit sickness or limitation. That was what started the Native Church. Affirmation. Just pronouncing the statements of truth and abiding in that truth and not deviating from it. You see, when you say, I'm a child of God, and then the next day you say, I'm adopted by God, the next day you see that they show you a picture of the devil, and the devil looks black and think that you are a child of the devil. You have not affirmed well. No matter what, you stick to what you have said, the truth, so that you can awaken to that. That will be your experience. And so, like the book of Joel says, let the poor say, rich, and let those who are weak say, I'm strong. You see, yesterday, one CSA member sent me a WhatsApp message. Reverend, I've been in bed all day. And I sent this and I said, oh, sorry, but know that your body is cold and perfect. You are old and perfect. And after about 15, 20 minutes, the person replied, thank you so much, Reverend. See, it is always good to be reminded of your true nature. Because when you have a sense of separation from your true nature, then you can say, I'm sick, I'm poor, I'm this. You identify with your particular happening. But when you turn your attention to God and remind yourself of the things about you which are true, nothing can beat you. And so, tune into God and you will express God's will. Namaste.